Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dungeon the Mad Mage. This is session 44, and I am less anxious, which is very good. The last couple sessions have been a bit stressful. I was very concerned that this game that I have put hundreds of hours into prepping was just gonna go and everyone was gonna die. Oh my goodness.
There's still a chance.
Well, there is still a chance. There's still always the chance. Okay. So, fuck it. Let's jump into the game with a bit of a recap. Previously, in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, the party found themselves caught in combat with another group of drow while on their way to the eastern Stromkolder ruins. The battle proved simple at first, with the party engaging a small swarm of giant spiders. Matters quickly grew out of hand, however, when they found themselves facing down a chimera and the drow captain of Teresa's guard. Thanks to a haste spell from Ezrah, Ashes was able to flank the chimera, providing both him and Bones with perfect opportunities to strike the beast. Meanwhile, Matashtai, benefiting from the same haste effect, squared off against the flanking drow. During the battle, Marta was knocked unconscious, and Larash was burnt to cinders by the chimera's dragon head. But the party proved victorious nonetheless, with Bones and Ashes slaying the chimera, and Matashtai, with Ezra's aid, besting the drow. In the aftermath, Bones set about the gruesome task of harvesting parts from the chimera, while Marta recovered. Then the party headed south to find the eastern Stromkolder ruins, mostly abandoned. They found a massive treasure hoard in the chimera's lair, and as they explored around more, they discovered a bugbear and 3 goblins that were being forced to cook for the drow. They set the prisoners free and convinced them to head upwards to the Tall Market, and more specifically, the Skull Takers. A little more exploring later, and the party discovered Teresa's quarters, where they found Marta's spellbook, along with a host of other treasures. On their way out of the ruins, they found an odd mirror, an interesting fish mural, a barracks, and another prisoner. One that Ashes recognized as a bugbear they had previously fought on the second floor. Ashes didn't bring this to anyone's attention, though, and the party allowed the bugbear to go freely. From here, the party made the long journey back to Azrok's hold, lugging the enormous treasure they found along with them. There was a brief moment of time at the registration office where Marta had to go through the proper paperwork, and then the party was ushered back to Azrok's East Hall, and now stands before the Legion Command. So that's where we fade back into the game. Go ahead and put you guys on the map. So you guys have been ushered into the East Hall of Azrok, which is pretty crowded right now. Throughout the city, as you kind of like traveled through Stromkolder, you saw tiny little triage centers, right? With maybe a dozen or so individuals here or there, basically like tending to some of the wounded. But there seems to be a large gathering within Azrok's hold itself, kind of in anticipation of your arrival. So, because like word spread, like when you guys came into the city, word spread ahead of you, especially since you had to like hold for Marta for 5 minutes. So people have flocked to the Legion Commander's Feast Hall, kind of find out what has happened. So you all stand now in front of Azrok on his bone throne, Lorcana standing next to him, and she kind of like, she raises a fist, right, a gauntleted fist, and the room, who's kind of like a twitter, right, a buzz, there's talking and murmuring throughout the crowd, comes to a hush.
Waiting on us? Or is
She
about to say
she like looks at you as if to give you the floor if you choose.
All right, I step forward.
Okay.
I undo my little pouch. Put the head down.
So you undo the pouch, pull out Teresa's head.
That's the only one. That's the only head I have currently.
Okay.
Pulls out the head of the hobgoblin we forgot to give.
Just make sure, you know. So you pull out Teresa's head, and immediately there's a ripple through the crowd of half stifled cheers, right?
That's right. I'm the skull taker boss. I don't just take skulls. I take heads.
And immediately, right, like Lorcana's fist is still raised. Her gaze just does the like sweep across the crowd, and the noise dies down again, right? And she waits again, like affording you the opportunity of the floor should you so choose.
The head of Teresa.
We did it.
So Ezrah just kind of like nods ever so slightly, right? And Lorcana kind of steps forward and she says, "This is a great victory, though a costly one." And what of your return trip? How did you arrive here?
Lot. We walked. Yeah.
We
after
killed some
taking
thing
the
with a
head
bunch of heads.
we
Shoot some
started
fire.
coming back through the encampment that they had set up. On our way there, we encountered the beast that they had been holding, a chimera.
There's another like ripple through the crowd, right? Murmur through the crowd.
Along with some straggling drow, we were able to take them out, as well as the chimera, and we pushed through where the main fight took place, and we were able to make it back unimpeded.
Lorcana kind of like
Also,
nods.
we killed the chimera. It's dead.
Very good. This victory is now that much greater, and the lives lost that much more meaningful. There's kind of an undertone in the way that she's speaking. Does anyone have insight trained?
I do. And actually roll it with advantage.
I do
Anyone?
I
as
also
well.
have insight trained.
We have 4 people with insight trained.
I have more skills than I don't have.
Look,
What do you-
insight is
like-
quite frequently used.
Just think it's funny. Okay, so all of you can roll an insight check for me.
No, sorry. I have 8 proficiencies and 10 not proficiencies.
So that's my psychic glamour, which says I roll it with advantage.
Okay, gotcha. Because you've taken insight as the...
Yep.
His mind is glamorous.
Glamorous, glamorous.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah,
Some
you're...
might say alien.
You are all able to kind of like read the undertones that Lorcana is putting out there while she's talking, right? What she's saying is only half directed at you. The other half of what she's saying is directed to the crowd, kind of pushing that idea of, yes, we lost people, yes, that's unfortunate, but we've won a great victory. And in like, once you hear this in her tone of voice, right, like a few side glances, show you that the majority of the crowd, right, is doing that kind of like, oh, we want to cheer and we want to revel, right? Yeah, we won. But there are people here and there. There seems to be like a clear section that do not look happy, right? They don't look thrilled. And who would you guess is at the head of that faction?
What's his name? Rolvik?
Yeah, it starts with an R.
No. Rolvik is your homeboy. It's Cleuse,
Not
the
that
Skull
guy.
Cleaver.
Please, you say.
Yeah.
All right, so you said we all noticed this?
Yeah, you all kind of like hear that undertone
And
in
you
her
said
voice, and
something
you see
about
it
a
throughout.
great victory.
Yes, yeah.
Said I'd be like, yes, we killed Teresa, all of the leadership, her sister, fucking Ilnor, the mage, the captain of the guard, the great beast. What more could you ask for?
You get nods of agreement and the hum of the crowd at every single point. And then you say what more could you ask for? And there's the murmuring kind of dies for a second, and Cleuse steps forward, right? And he says, "The lives of my brothers and sisters. I could ask for those."
Alright, I challenge him to Montgoro.
To what?
Montgoro? What do you mean?
I'm assuming that's duel to the death?
It is. It's orc death duel.
Oh, gotcha. You know they're not orcs, right?
I know that now.
Do you though?
Do you, though?
Sometimes not.
Are you
honestly.
sure?
No, not all the time.
Oh my god. Oh, Jesus. So, do you actually react to him stepping forward and saying this?
I do. I say,
Yeah, Matt does. Sure.
well,
I support Matt.
We can't bring back the brothers you lost, but I think this will help prevent you from losing more.
Okay. Right? You see this kind of like look of frustration across Cleuse's face, right? And he kind of like glowers at you. Again, if anybody wants, they can roll insight.
Sure, I want to know why he glowering. Why you glowering, boy? I don't know. He's sad.
He's just a sad boy.
Alright, I got a Bones and an Ezra. Is anybody else gonna try?
Sorry, I got distracted. What was it again? Insight?
An insight, yeah. Because you're all like standing there watching this this conversation, so like it's all this. Okay.
I mean, it's like unfortunate, but
Yeah.
weren't they
Well, so-
all like whatever for the cause?
So Ezra, actually, everyone but Bones, right? I feel like maybe Bones is getting like a little hypey about it, right?
I'm trying to be a big cat. I'm trying
Yeah,
to be a big cat.
right.
I'm looking at it. I'm like, I'm a big cat, bro.
But Ezra, Matashtai,
You see
and
this
Asses, they all see like the face that Cleuse makes, right? The way that he acts in response to what Matashtai says, is he's frustrated. He expected a different response. He expected someone to rise to his fate,
Challenge.
right? He expected someone to yell or fight, and then, you know, so he kind of seems flustered for a moment, and he says, "Of course, the victory does allow us some prosperity in the future, but," and he kind of like gestures out, right? "What of the losses we have already suffered? How much weaker are we now? And why are we here?"
Actually, that's a good
Deep
question.
my dude.
Why are they here?
No, he means like why are we at this point right now? It doesn't mean like, why are we here at this location?
Is he the one that's been being a dick the whole time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
And
No,
there's
just some random one that was super nice to us just turned into an uber dick.
there's
I mean, I don't
another
know,
kind of
maybe
like
it was, like,
murmur
sad,
through the crowd.
you know?
Actually, un momento. Let me turn my light on.
I don't think there was a single difference with.
Yeah, I don't know. I need a fucking.
You
face
need a
light.
desk lamp.
It looks exactly the same, yeah.
Let me turn on this light that's like 8 feet behind me and up, because that's gonna do anything for.
I mean, it does actually brighten the
Also-
wall in front of me.
Fucking disgusts me that you had to do that physically, just so you know.
I like to do things physically, Zach.
I bet you do.
Anyways, so like Cleuse gestures and he kind of like very boisterously proclaims this scenario, right? Like posing this question, and he's not posing it at you all. He's posing it to the crowd, and there is this ripple, this murmur through the crowd, right? And a few nodded heads, but there's just as many like glowers and like crossed arms, right? The crowd is not like just playing into Cleuse's hands or anything like that. You guys do anything?
Alright, so it really feels to me, and I feel like to Matt at this point, this dude's clearly trying to like start some sort of civil war in this motherfucker and take control from Ezrah. Yeah. So
Look, I'm just saying the Drow weren't like, oh, we're so scared of Cleuse. No, they said fucking Azrock. All right. They didn't say bring me the head of Cleuse. No, they said Azrock.
but the problem is I don't really want to
You don't have to.
instigate or push that in any way.
I am affording you all the option of doing or saying something before things continue.
You know what? You're right. None of these losses should be acceptable. But you mourn their deaths. And you honor them. Because of their sacrifice, a great victory is won today. And because of the assistance of Kripa and the Sea Hags and us, we have come together to even lessen those losses further. And because of that, you may now go into the future and have, and suffer fewer deaths even still.
No, also
How
the
many
babies
more
and
would have died without all the people that contributed? How many more would have died had the Drow been left?
Cleuse kind of tilts his head back and he sneers at you, like he looks down his nose towards you. You're good. Keep in mind, you're a good like foot taller than he is, right?
Yeah.
So he makes a very big show of like leaning back and sneering at you, right? And and then he kind of like turns and he gestures wide and he says, "Is this what we are reduced to? This is what we've become? We must rely on the aid of strangers to help us, to defeat our foes. Once upon a time, the Legion was strong." And there are more than murmurs now, right? There's that half-stifled cheer that kind of rises up from members of the crowd. And then you all hear this, and the whole fucking room goes silent.
Kill him, blind man.
And it's Azrock on his bone throne, and he's just leaning one head to the side on his fist. And he says, "Is now the time, please. Now the time you picked to betray me." And you see like Cleuse turns and faces Azrock. And there's a moment of pause in his demeanor, in his face, in his eyes, right? And then he says, right, he kind of like does that. It is not I who betrays, but you. You have betrayed the Legion. You have made us weak. And Ezrah chuckles again. He says, then come, Ryusa. Want it so badly. Take my throne.
Makura. Makura.
Makura.
Okay, he has advantage on this. A 25 will do it.
Ooh. Yeah, well.
Do what?
You watch, right? As Cleuse kind of like stands there, and the whole fest hall is quiet. Even Throat Snapper and Gorger, which are normally like slavering over some large bone or something like that, completely oblivious. They normally don't give a shit what's going on. They're kind of like still. Their hackles are kind of like raised, right? And Cleuse just kind of stands there, his arms wide, right from the previous statement. And it's a long moment just hangs.
Yeah, one shot.
And he says, I would never dream of challenging the Supreme Commander ship of the League. I only mourn the loss of our brethren. And you watch, right? Cleuse kind of like step back, back kind of like into the crowd, and turn, and he has his head hung low, right? Kind of like turns, and he shifts, like shuffles through the crowd to the door, and he opens the door, and he walks outside, right? And then you see Ralvik and about 4 other people walk out behind him.
Am I gonna jump him? I will kill Roland to get my sending stone back. I'm just letting you know.
Oh my god. So this moment passes, right? And there's a bit of pause with everything. As this all kind of transpires.
Happier if we had died.
And then after the few moments pass, right, and the room is back quiet again, Ezrah says, now that that business is done with, on to happier. Victory for the Legion and for our new allies. You are whole, yes?
We are.
Yeah.
Then tonight we celebrate and feast our triumph.
Oh yeah, feast.
Yay!
We feast, boys. What time is it? Oh, this is after the raid, so it's like it's night. Okay, I got it. Never mind, I'm good.
Azrock says, at the height of the celebrations, we will mourn those lost and reward those who have done the most for us.
I look over at Bones and on the side. I'm like, that's us.
As he says that, right, Lurkana kind of like puts an arm on his shoulder and kind of like leans in and whispers into his ear. And as she does this, right, she's staring at the big ass chest that Ashes has on the. Are you still carrying? I'd imagine you could like put it on the ground next to you.
I guess I
right?
would like
No reason to like hold it while you're just standing. But yeah, so like she's kind of like staring at that chest as she's
There it is,
whispering
motherfucker.
into Azrock's ear, right?
Spoils of battle.
Where do you think those spoils came from?
Us.
Oh, gotcha.
oh, this was originally
so
property.
Azrock kind of like nods, right? And then he says, "You're all dismissed. We must make preparations. This is
Bye.
glad tidings. Rest. We will feast soon."
All right,
And a bunch of people, like a bunch of goblins and hobgoblins, begin to kind of like filter out of the fest hall. And it's clear that many of them are actually going off to perform different tasks. Some of them are actually going off. You can hear them kind of chattering. Some of them are going off to kind of try to arrange an impromptu feast or a semi-impromptu feast. Like they knew battle would be raised today, so the cooks have been cooking. They just weren't sure if it was going to be in celebration or not, you know? So, while this happens, Lurkana kind of like does step up to you, steps down off the dais, and you've done us a great service. I've spoken to you about another. Have you given more consideration to that?
I don't want to speak for everyone, but I'd be willing to take on the job, see what we can do.
Might be a fool's errand, but without things might prove differently the next.
You've showed us hospitality. You've treated us fairly. This is, we'll do what we can. It's going to be a very cold trail because you said it's been months, but we'll do what we can.
Did anyone take good notes on what she told us specifically? Because I remember I remember Skullport. I remember Turgar. That's about it. Nope, there were no notes. So
Drune Stonedark has the Sword of Omens that Azrock needs to see. Last known to be in Skullport.
Jay does all of the work. Very good job, Jay.
I can't take notes.
DM inspiration to Jay for keeping notes.
I mean, probably deserved, honestly.
taken.
Yeah, we need to get that immigration paperwork for those Draugr.
Okay. She will have it drummed up and provided for you. Which means
Thanks.
I will need to actually drum it up and provide it for you.
You didn't have it ready, Jeremy? Come on.
Well, I mean, I have some names, but I don't have, like, all of the questions that they asked you guys, so. And I'm probably not going to give you all of the answers to all of those questions, because that is fucking idle, busy work that I'm not going to do.
Well, you shouldn't have made us do it then.
It was fun when y'all did it. It's not gonna be fun when I do it for 12 fucking Dwargar. Jeez. Alright. They're all gonna have, like, everyone's gonna have a different name, and they're all gonna have the exact same answers otherwise.
I have
Fair
a
enough.
question.
I mean, they are Draugr.
Is the throne that Ezrah sits on the alabaster throne of the last coronal?
We already asked that the first time we saw it.
I think when you first saw Azrock and I was like, he's on a white throne of skulls, you were like, huh? And I was like, It's definitely not made from alabaster. It's definitely made from skulls.
Fine.
All right.
Bone, alabaster. What's the
It's the same
difference,
thing,
really?
right? So, Lurkana at this point will kind of nod and she says, let me take you to your rooms. Rest,
How long
clean
are
up.
we out?
And do you guys, like, just let her take you?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, then I will just posit you in your previous room. You are left, right, to your own devices. She lets you know that the feast, it's already kind of been underway. It's already been in preparation. They were going to feast, like I said, they were already planning this. They weren't sure whether or not it was a celebration or not until you guys came back successfully. So she lets you know it should begin in probably about 2 hours time. You guys have a little bit of time to kill around the Azrock's hold if you want.
How many? 6 hours?
About 2 hours.
Oh.
Close.
I don't know what I
If you guys don't want to do anything, you can just rest in your quarters and go from there. Perfectly fine.
Actually, I want to do a kata just to make sure there's nothing else on this level. We know there's nothing, but I just want to make sure. Just for...
Sure. So you're going through your divination kata with the lodestone?
Yeah.
Okay. It points almost straight down. Just insinuating what you are looking for. The next thing you are looking for is quite far below you.
Fuck, boy.
All right, got it.
All right, I go find Ralvuk. I want my sending stone back.
Okay. So that
He refuses.
that is not overly challenging. You ask around. Basically, you just head out, and are you going alone? Are people going with you? What's the plan?
People are welcome to come, but
Yeah,
I don't care.
I'll go for a walk with him.
Matashtai is going.
Ezra will stay and socialize with Bay.
Okay.
I will also stay and guard our treasure hoard.
Okay.
Good man.
All right. So you eventually find you're given directions through a couple of different locations. And you eventually find Rolvuk. Yeah. I believe it to be a large building to the north of Azrock's. That's tall, but let me buy 20p. 20p. Yeah. So you find a grab you two. You are eventually led to this point, right up here. And you find out that Rolvik apparently is important enough to have his own, like, chambers. And you knock on the door, right? Rolvik comes to it, calls out, "Who is it?"
It's me, Bones. Hey, Matt.
And he opens the door, right? Pulls it aside, allows you into some relatively modest chambers, right? He's got some furniture in here. He's got a little bed. It's modest in that everything in here seems not poorly made, right? But if you were to compare this to like your own living quarters in like Troll Skull, the station that you live in seems far greater than the station that Rolvik lives. His is much more Spartan, right? There's quite a few amenities missing, etc. But
Pull out
he
a bar
seems
stool from the bag of holding, and I sit down.
he seems content. There is something interesting about his room, though. On the far side of his room, on the western wall, is embedded to the west wall of this otherwise, or embedded to the wall of this otherwise undecorated wall, is an archgate. And the keystone at the top is carved and painted to look like a gold dragon wormling with its mouth agape.
Whoa. Cool. You ever do anything with that?
He walks over and he says, "This room is a reward for my service, but it's also an annoying curse. The room itself is a benefit to me, but this thing, even when I'm not working, I'm working." And he walks kind of over to it, and you watch him kind of like lean down, and just in front of the arch, he runs his finger across something, and then you can see kind of like shimmering in the air this thin wire in front of the archway. And now that your attention's kind of called to it, you see running up the side of the wall, there's some sort of little mechanism above the archgate, and there's a blade attached to the end of it.
How's it open? What a gold dragons breathe fire, right?
I have no idea how it opened. But we have been unsuccessful. Well, truth be told, the Legion hasn't cared much about how it opens. More so that anything coming from the other side doesn't have free reign.
Oh, fair enough. I mean,
what did you
I'm sorry.
want to see me about?
Oh, hey, man. So, what was all that about? What? Everyone's all. I get it, losses and everything, but are you with the UC now, or y'all mad, or what's going on?
We kind of. No one is with Cleuse now.
Oh.
After his embarrassing
beat him up?
display in front of Azrock. Well.
Did you guys kill him?
I seconded him.
I don't know what that means.
Cleuse fell in the eyes of the Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Decided to take his own life.
Oh, okay.
Second.
I've got you. Wow, that's rough. I mean, he made it through that battle. Had to be a hell of a warrior.
Was his second. Wow.
He was.
So, like,
His
straight
loss
up
is
Suzuki
legitimately,
style?
or as you can tell, his loss was legitimately a blow to the Legion.
Hmm.
But such
sorry
mutiny
for
and
your
discourse cannot be tolerated in a chain of command such as this. Had Cleuse held his ground and challenged Azrock, it might have been a different matter.
Mm.
But in the final moment, his courage found him wanting.
Mm.
You must understand, though, his motivations are not out of greed. Cleuse truly cared about the success of the Legion. When he chose, as he did so because he could not beyond shadow of doubt convince himself that his leadership would be better than Azrock's.
Hmm. Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I'll be honest, when we came here, it was kind of out of necessity, but we chose to help you guys. That's got to say something. We're allies.
That is good. I am glad.
I also am glad.
Knowing what
On
you have
that
done,
note-
I am glad to have allies rather than enemies.
Agreed. On that note, do you have my sending stone?
Ah, yes, your rock. And he kind of like gestures past to a very kind of barren table, but there's a little mound with a cloth over it.
Yes, my rock.
I thought you were gonna say there's a mound of papers with the rock sitting on it.
It's a paperweight. Very nice. No, it's he's just got it there, kind of covered up, out of the way of eyes.
Sure. I mean, it's just kind of a rock right now, anyway.
Yeah, he says, a useful device. Would that we had several, and would that they could be used multiple times a day.
It is useful. You know, that's like kind of a low-level spell, to my knowledge. You know, maybe some of your bros can learn it.
The Legion is not much for magic. We've had many issues in the past. Though there is occasionally one gifted here or there that rises through the ranks. At this
Magic
particular moment, we have none such. It's a harsh life we live. And those that tend to be less hardy tend not to fare long.
Well, maybe they can fare a little longer now that the drow aren't killing everyone. And that one guy's not eating babies.
It will take some time for us to replenish and reinforce, but hopefully, in the coming months and years, we will reclaim our territory. Hold it strongly, we have in the past.
Now, Remind me, not Cleosis, sorry, Rolvuk. Are you you're captain of the guard? What's your title? What's your rank?
I am a captain and considered a war leader by Legion Commander Ezrah.
Sure. So hey, I'll mention this to Ezrah and God, what the hell is her name? Garona?
Lurkana.
Garona, that's Thrall's girlfriend. Lurkana. Anyway, I have a band. They're called the Skull Takers. They might be around. You know, maybe just
a
Don't
band.
turn
treat them
to
with
them.
the same
Skull
treat them with the
Takers.
same kind of civility that you treat us. They're made up of goblins, maybe also a bugbear now. I'm not clear on that part.
If you care to explain in more detail, and you don't have to go through the process of actually explaining in more detail, but if you he asks, right, because now he's like, what, because he's not sure what you're saying, so he asks about it.
This is the first time I introduce myself as the head taker. I am the head taker of the Skull Takers. I've decided that's my title.
Sure.
You take the heads.
So,
They clean
I
the
take
skulls.
the heads.
Okay.
Anyway, they're my band. They adventure. Yeah, I give them the whole spiel. And I prefer them to have the same sort of treatment as I would get.
We will treat them well. Should they obey our laws within our realm?
Yeah, if they don't, you let me know.
And I can tell you this. They will not be impeded or pressed into service.
I appreciate that.
However, this news of the market on the second floor.
News, I say?
We've heard whispers, mostly through agents of the Xanathar, we believe. But another settlement of goblins, such proximity to the Legion, might cause complications, especially if they're seeking to expand while we're still reclaiming territory.
The Xanathar would say that. We killed them because they, hassled my boys. So, that's kind of where the expansion come from. I don't think Yek's going to be a problem for you.
You have pull with this individual?
As much as one can have pull with Yek the Tall.
Might be a good idea to mention the idea of peaceable relation with the Legion.
Will do. Hey, side note, did you know a guy named Larash?
Larash. Yes. A brave soldier, a bit headstrong. He disappeared
He was brave.
not many
and
weeks ago.
headstrong. We found him in the Drow prison.
Yes.
He was alive, but fell
It
to the
seems he
Chimera.
is. Well, I am
Just so you know,
somewhat
though.
unsurprised.
Damn.
And
Yeah, he's kind of just charged in there.
knowing his final fate is at least better. We had assumed his death previously and given him mourning. But I will add his name to the list. Celebrate this eve. If you don't mind, and he actually gestures to his desk, and he says, I do need to finish that before
Where's
the
that?
feast.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, cool. You two head back?
Mm.
Yes. Okay. You guys want to do? Is there anything happening with Ashes and Ezra while they're gone, or are you guys just hanging out, garden things, resting? You were muted.
You're muted.
Uh-huh.
Just chatting with Bay.
Okay.
Who is Bay?
Yeah, who's
The other
Bay?
caster?
Marta Moonshadow, which
Oh,
Jake
no.
seems to be unable to use her name. She's gonna start calling you out on that, I think. So
That's Jake saying it, not Ezra.
fine, I'm gonna start calling you out on it then.
That seems fair.
Yeah, she's gonna call you baby.
Yeah, she can be called. I don't know.
Hey, Snookums.
I don't have a. Oh, Snookum's a good one. There we go.
Boy.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Sounds good. Then if that is the case, Ezra and Ashes can benefit from a short rest.
For the Makara that's coming.
Nothing for me.
Okay. Well, if it means nothing, it means nothing.
I mean,
Marta will probably hold on. She did take an arrow.
You know what? I'll at least use some of these.
Alright.
Just in case something goes wrong.
Not long after, Ezra or Bones and Matashtai show back up, and so
Whoa,
some
guys, Cleuse killed himself.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy.
You watched it?
No, I didn't watch it. They told us about it.
That doesn't make any sense. He was
Oh.
just talking about how all the losses were unacceptable, and he just added to the list.
Yeah.
Willingly?
Hobgoblins. Apparently, his shame was immeasurable.
Oh. He argued with the commander in front of a crowd.
I don't think it was the arguing. I think it was the unwillingness to fight it out.
Why did I?
No, that doesn't make sense.
I don't know, man. I got it from the horse's mouth.
It's just, regardless of what, I get it, they have their own culture here, but if he was truly worried about the strength of the Legion, why would he remove his from it?
Mental health is important.
I don't know. I think there might be a situation where I bite my own tongue.
You think, Zach? I think Marta might speak up and say,
Some people call that 1,000 platinum. Baby,
Perhaps-
child. 1,000 platinum child.
"Get out of here."
That's him.
I think Marta probably speaks up and says, "It's possible that he thought his presence would weaken the Legion further than would strengthen it. After such a show of mutiny, who knows how the cohesion of the Legion might have been affected if he remained a challenge to Azrok's authority."
That is a great idea. That makes sense.
Wow, suddenly so complimentary, Ezra.
Marta, what are you planning on doing? Where are you going?
Well, I had planned on learning more, but that particular venture left me a bit, well, in a
Did
dungeon.
we ever find her spellbooks?
Yes,
Yeah, we
you
found it.
did find her spellbook in.
Oh shit!
You found
Yeah.
her spellbook in Teresa's chambers in Eastern Stromcold.
Did we find anything else of?
Yeah, you found Ilnor's spellbook as well, and you
Mhm.
know,
Which
other treasure and
you're
stuff like
welcome
that.
to.
Okay, I'll take
It's
a look
it's in
at
the
that.
it's in the
Okay.
chest
In the
right
chest,
now.
yeah. Everything's just in the fucking chest.
I
Oh,
would take
hey.
a look at that before
Yeah.
we sell it. So
Yeah, guys, we found another one of those portal things. It was in Rolvik's room.
Oh yeah, and it
with the
it does
guillotine.
include
There's a
a,
guillotine on it.
There's a guillotine.
What'd you say,
But
Jim?
it was something like with dragon, right?
Yeah, it had gold dragon. Fucking looked like it was breathing or screaming or shouting.
Screaming. It's just a dragon screaming.
A gold dragon wormling. He was like,
It was a gold dragon wormling with its mouth agape.
okay.
I mean, I was, and Bones, I think you do too. We had gold dragon scales that we were given. Maybe
Wow.
a piece of a gold dragon is the key.
So
Good.
one, I need that gold dragon scale, and two, I can't stress the guillotine part quite enough.
There was what about a guillotine? Like it was
There was
chopping the wormling's head off, or
No, Rolvik has a guillotine attached to it.
Could you imagine your room having a fucking portal to God knows what?
Honestly, dude.
Like...
My thought was for some sort of fire, but I did not try it.
does he know what the purpose of the guillotine attached to the portal is? Do people just randomly appear and shin?
Pretty
Well, I
sure
mean,
it's
we
there
have-
in case things do
We
show
have
up.
heads.
Yeah, it was just in case.
So in
Instead-
theory, if we found the other door and tried using it, we wouldn't just be.
I mean, I know where the tripwire is, so I think we'd probably be fine.
So you're going first every time we go through a portal. Got it.
Yeah, sure. Well, that one. Specifically that one.
Specifically that one.
Every portal. Got it.
I have two 10-foot
But anyways, I will
poles.
extend the like I would inform.
No, didn't one break?
Maybe. I thought Ezra mended me another one back together. I'm
Oh,
not sure. I
fuck.
only do have
I
one
would've.
on my list.
I would have.
I'll pick up 3 or 4 more. We need them.
You
30 feet of pole.
mean Matashtai will carry them for you?
Can I?
Once
can
I get
be-
rid of the 400-pound fucking keg of ale, it'll be fine. I'm getting like
Thank you, Jeremy, for.
I'm gonna get like 4 fucking donkeys, and it's gonna be great.
You guys are gonna fucking lug around 4 donkeys.
No, not we. Not
Oh,
we.
Fuck.
4 donkeys and a handler.
And a handler. Oh god. This is.
Oh,
I'm
that poor
not.
guy's gonna get murdered.
I am not prepared. It's gonna be one fucking fireball. All of the
Don't-
donkeys,
Very
the handler, everything.
By the way, are we resting before the thing? I wanna like.
So once Matashtai and Bones actually get back, there is still enough time for you both to take a short rest if you would like to as well.
I mean, I guess I'm not gonna do anything.
Oh,
I take
I
a
have
cat
no more
nap.
hit die, but I do get my key points back.
But this sounds like a plan, right?
I take. Oh yeah, cat nap. Oh yeah.
All right. So a little bit of time passes after Bones and Matashtai return, and eventually you all are summoned back to the feast hall of Ezrah. And when you get there, there are just rows and rows. There's like 3 large tables in there, and there's just rows and rows of hobgoblins, mostly hobgoblins at the tables. Though there is a smattering of bugbears and goblinoids, right? Or goblins, not goblinoids. They're all goblinoids. And Lurkana kind of like shouts everyone down because it's very loud, right? It's boisterous. There's people talking, chattering, cracking jokes, etc. Lurkana shouts everyone down, and she doesn't give much of a speech. She basically just says, "Today we had a great victory over the Drow, due in part to the sacrifice of many heroic members of the Legion, as well as our newfound allies." And there's a cheer for both And a feast begins. That's pretty much it. Like, Lurkana said, Azrock takes over after that point, and he says, we will remember them, and we will celebrate this victory. And then food comes out, drinks, more than, this is probably the first time you've really seen this in Azrock's hold, is a shit ton of drinks come out. Like, several barrels come out, and are tapped, and actually, like, the drink flows quite freely. And the way the Legion reacts, the way the individual hobgoblins and bugbears and goblins react, you can tell this is not typical. There's probably not this much booze given out to the Legion as frequently or in as much quantity as it is right now. But
the way you said "we will remember you" made it seem like they were gonna kill us.
No, we will remember them.
The ones that died.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. I heard "we will remember you."
We'll
remember you fondly.
Food is brought out, and it is very
that scroll for a chalice.
It's very interesting fare. A large portion of it is fungus based.
Gross.
Okay, so fungus based, fish based, actually, and then questionable meat based.
Out of character, are goblinoids
and then there's a lot of bread. Are goblinoids? What do you mean animalistic? Cannibalistic. Oh, as a general note, no. Obviously, different places, you know, different cultures, but the general, your average Forgotten Realms Sword Coast goblin isn't cannibal.
Okay. I mean, no judging if it was. I was just trying to zero in
No
on this
judging if it was. No. Okay. So the food is actually probably the most surprising thing about the food is it's actually kind of fucking spicy. Like, you're not really sure what they put in there, but whatever they put in there creates heat.
Blood of their enemies.
And it creates a lot of it, and it's kind of in everything. Even the kind of like lopsided loaves of bread that they bring out. And there's actually, like, when they get cut open, you see there's like little chunks, like little nuggets of mushroom in the bread loaves, like baked into it, which is a weird texture when you actually chomp on it. But there's sprinkles of whatever the spice that they use is in everything, even the bread. And it just kind of gives everything this kind of like cayenne infused flavor.
Hey, I'm into it.
Basically. And the goblinoids around you just tuck in, and they get loud, and it kind of turns into that scenario right where you've seen so much of the Legion's lifestyle be highly regimented, and all of a sudden, like, within 30 minutes time, they turn into the loud, boisterous, kind of like the Viking feast hall, that kind of concept, right? They go from Legion, orderly, rules, discipline. They lose their shit. They lose their ever-loving fucking minds. Two goblins start riding Throat Snapper and Gorger around the place, and they're running so fast that they're kind of like running up the walls at certain points. They smash into one of the tables, and it smashes to fucking splinters, and there's just raucous laughter the entire time, right? About midway through, Rolvuk gets up and he reads the list of the dead, right? Just goes through the name, and every single fucking name gets this massive cheer, right? Standing ovation fucking cheer. From the people that aren't so drunk off their ass that they can't cheer, right? And this continues for a couple of hours, right? in total from the start of the feast to the end of the feast. But towards the end, you can see like about halfway through at this point where Rolvik reads the list of names. About half of the people here, they keep eating and they keep laughing and joking, but they stop drinking entirely. The other half, right, keeps drinking, keeps doing anything. And it's almost as if the other half kind of like overcompensates for the half that stops drinking, right? The other half kind of like knows what's going on, and so they're like, you know, one for you, right? Like you're being the designated driver, so I'm gonna drink it, and another one for you, that type of scenario. And it gets to the point to where by the end of the feast, half is kind of like coming down, and the other half is unconscious.
Party hard.
So Marta goes through the whole thing very like she drinks a bit, but she doesn't drink too much. She gets obviously gets a little tipsy, and then stops, like pulls back. She eats her fill. Lurkana eats, actually gets a little boisterous. Ezrah, throughout the entire feast, right? Over and over again, like it's almost like it's there's never a line or anything like that, but at any given time there's always some member of the crowd that walks up to Ezrah and has a private conversation. Right? And then, you know, they'll have a private conversation, and a few minutes later they're gone, and you see Ezrah's kind of alone for a second, and then you'll look again and there's a new person there having another conversation with him. And his posture doesn't change the entire night. He eats, he drinks. You see throughout these conversations, he'll get loud, he'll get jovial, he'll laugh at things, as do the people that he's talking with. But even by the end, right, several hours later, his posture doesn't change. Is there anything you all would particularly like to do during the feast, or are you just hanging out and celebrating?
I think just generally having fun, hanging out, getting some drinks in, learning stories.
While I'm hanging out, though. Sorry, go ahead, Mitch.
I was just gonna say I want to learn some hobgoblin stories. They got any like cool lore or like legends of their people, cool stuff like that.
Yeah, they absolutely do. They definitely do. Maybe not necessarily like legends of their people, but they have a lot of the Legion has a lot of mythology and tales about the Legion, right? About like what the Legion has been through and where they've come from and what they've done, etc.
So what I'd like to do, if I can, I would start offering a sketch for each interesting story about the Legion.
Nice.
And I would sketch the person telling me the story.
Okay. So, sounds good. Roll me a performance check.
Okay. Oh, I don't have advantage, but yeah.
Okay, 14. 14 is pretty good. You notice there's not a lot of I don't want to say art, right? Because art is subjective. The Legion, hobgoblins in general, they make serviceable items, right? So art for them is the efficiency in how urn is made, or how the edge of a blade holds, or stuff like that, right? There's less art in the classical sense, as in like painting, drawing, sculpting, that type of stuff. So when you start to do this, there's a good like portion who are like, what is this? This is weird, right? But there's also a good portion that are like, this is super interesting, and they go wild. They're like, oh my goodness, right? When you draw them, or when you draw what they're kind of like describing, a lot of them kind of like go crazy, and so you begin to get sought out as the word kind of gets passed through, and people begin to do exactly what you're seeking, right? Exchange a story for a picture, and it keeps you busy throughout the evening.
Do I learn anything cool?
You learn a lot about the area on the Sargoth level. So you learn that many years ago, many decades ago, the level as you know it, right, is about a quarter of the size of what the expanse of the Legion used to be.
So did the Legion expand across multiple levels?
No, it was all on this level, all on the Sargoth level. But there used to be far more territory to the north and east, basically like upriver. There were great temples built here long ago by both elven and dwarven civilizations that the Legion kind of occupied. And then there were, over the course of the many decades that the Legion has been here, their territory has shrunk. The biggest one being, this is kind of like the tail end of the shrinking of their territory, right? Is the drow coming in and attacking them. But the real blow, you'll find out, is about, I think, 20 years ago, when Ezrah took half the Legion and left.
Oh yeah, Junior.
Yeah. So in almost an instant,
where did they go?
Maybe that was the mean Legion they were talking about.
Ezrah took half the Legion, and basically he went out to make a name for himself. He didn't want to live under his father's shadow. So
I think it was said that it was assumed they went to the surface. They're not in Undermountain. I can't remember if they went like deeper or up.
I think Lurkana has heard. I think the Legion period has heard tales of his exploits throughout, but they have no idea where he is.
Okay.
But that moment in the Legion's history, basically, it cut the strength of the Legion in half, almost in an instant, and from there the Legion had to retract to a smaller dominion, and through successive wars, and now the Drow, the Legion has been forced into a smaller and smaller position. And you kind of, through these discussions, you don't get this all from like one person, you get this all from several different people, and through these discussions you kind of begin to see that underlining thread, right, where certain individuals kind of reflect that tone of what Cleuse was talking about, right? The question of, how did we get here? Why is the Legion as it is now? Right? But you get stories of like old timers telling you about these fanciful elven ruins, or this great dwarven temple and statue, etc. You know, things that are probably, when they describe them, are described a little larger than life. Anyways, Bones, you were saying something?
That is fun.
you were saying something at the you also had something that you wanted to talk about, but then I waxed on about Mitch's scenario for like 20 minutes. I apologize.
It's left me. I don't know.
Okay, cool. So, a little while after the reading of the dead, right? There's a short portion where Lurkana doesn't call for quiet, right? But she calls for attention, and some people are paying attention, some people aren't. But Azrock asks for you all to approach the throne so that he can reward you with death.
I stand up.
I bet I can kill him before I die. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'll
Alone?
die.
Like alone? Nothing to get advantage or sneak attacks with?
Well, no. I need one of you to stand here. You don't have to
I
do
need
that.
one of you to stand next to him and be threatening.
Just one of you stand near him. No,
So
alone I'll die quickly and sadly.
I will approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make a very big deal of it. In fact, he's actually kind of speaking quietly. You have to get right up to him. You're maybe like 5 feet away from him on at the foot of the throne, as he's speaking to you. Because the rest of the feast hall, they continue being loud, and only like a fraction of them are actually paying attention to the proceedings, etc. Right? They're drunk, they're loud, they're having fun. But he says, deserved rewards, service. I've spoken with Lurkana. Tells me you carry quite a large chest of treasure.
Sure do.
Good. It is yours. We will not seek it. What the Legion has lost is lost of its own accord. And he says that, when he says that, right? He says it kind of pointedly. He kind of like edges that. He says, what is lost to the Legion is lost to the Legion of its own accord.
I mean,
like they could take it if they wanted
at night.
They're very generous. Thank
Anybody
you.
want to roll an insight check?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. You give me
Yeah,
that
I'm
opportunity,
good.
I'll take it.
And I finally fell.
Oof. Oofity doofity.
19. God, guys.
Bones?
No, I'm good.
Nope. Okay.
I appreciate his gift.
Ashes. You're the only one who kind of like reads a little bit more into it. And it occurs to you when he's saying it, his head kind of like turns to where Lurkana is normally standing, right? And you get the sense that maybe he's not talking about treasure. He's talking about something else that has been lost. I like how Jay gets the role, and I say this cryptic message, and
Yeah.
everyone else is getting it, but Jay's the
No,
one who doesn't get it.
I just got that. Doesn't
I'll take that fucking dagger. I don't get blindsided.
right? Like, why would he?
Shit.
He's a proud man. That's why.
Cool, be proud. Can
And
I have it?
hobgoblins are strange.
Yes.
I think that's actually their entire personality is proud.
Yeah.
It is.
So,
To a fault.
I could have
he
blindside,
says
like,
after that,
whatever.
he says, you have earned that reward. But there is more that I would give you. Strengthen the friendship we have created. Allies to the Legion, treated well. As long as they remain out. And he like waves his hand, and Lurkana kind of like steps forward, and she has a basically like this
Gifts.
tray, right? It's like a wooden tray that she kind of like holds out, and there are
Damn,
3
is it a
items.
nice tray? Is it well crafted?
It's not especially well presented.
It's
It's just
fucking tray.
It's just kind of a basic tray.
I'm a craftsman through and through, Mitchell. Get out of here.
Upon the tray, right,
Fine.
are 3 items. One item is basically it's a scroll tube. Okay.
Ezra.
Another item is the little kind of almost reverse heart-shaped vial with a
Oh, please tell me it's a filter of love.
with a bright
Please,
with a bright red liquid in it.
please tell me it's a love potion.
And then
Reverse.
the last one is kind of like a thick, almost kind of like mason jar, right? It's a thick glass jar. And
Yeah,
Azrock
so-
says, "Gifts of magic for our friends. May they serve you well."
We like magic.
You're too kind.
Appreciate it.
What
Thank you.
are they?
Lick them and find out.
I lick each one of them.
I make sure he doesn't look at me after he licks the red liquid, just in
Right.
case my theories are
I
right.
turn him directly to Ezra.
The red liquid tastes like healing potion of the greater variety.
Delicious.
Oh, thank God. I was real worried about the application that would get.
He will say the spell scroll is a spell scroll. He is
Yes, I read it. I say, yes, this is
unfamiliar
a
with what
spell.
it does. And the jar probably will.
I taste it anyway.
It tastes horrible. It is not meant to be. No, actually, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. So he will tell you that it is a curative ointment that can either be ingested or used as a lotion to heal the body,
Lick the lotion.
cure diseases, and remove poisons.
Oh wow, that is useful.
Is that one of those ones that have multiple uses, or is it just a one-time use?
It has a couple of uses.
Well, probably less now that I licked it.
It's contaminated now.
So Azrock and Lurkana gift you these gifts as thanks for your service to the Legion. They give you no gold, nothing else, because of the
We've got a treasure chest. It's
stash
fine.
of booty that you have taken. They're basically
Got a
forfeiting that to
dumb amount
you.
of gold. That's fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, fine.
And then Azrock says, "What are your plans now?"
Well, I think we probably use a little R&R after that whole endeavor. Then I think we're gonna look into Skullport, see what's available. Maybe look around a little bit and see if there's any jobs we can take on.
So you
We
seek
got a few other.
the surface, and then you wish to return. You will pass through the Legion's domain yet again. When that
Sounds
happens,
good with
You said you had connections to people in the city. Is there anybody or anything
Hold on.
you need
I think
delivered
he was
up
about
there?
to threaten us. Just a second.
he wasn't about to threaten you. He was about to say,
Right.
when you pass through the Legion's territory again, I hope is on as good terms
As do we.
Agreed.
So you were saying about connections in the city?
Yeah, yeah. So, like, you know, I mean, we didn't make any secret that we're working for different factions on the surface, and he said that he has connections with them. So I would offer him if there's anything we need to deliver up there since we're going that way, or any items or information, just as a kind of a return thank you.
I know of no information or item. Then
Oh, well, thought I'd ask.
might be false. You have connections? Yes.
I mean, let's be like, yeah. I mean, a few.
You know one of the masked.
Yes.
Perhaps inform them that the Xanathar's control port is near final. And if seeds domination, will turn to something just to consider it.
I'll make sure to pass it on.
All right. Is there anything else that you wish to do during the feast to discuss?
Sure. While Matashtai is like drawing pictures and stuff for anybody, I'll look to like where they're keeping all the kegs, and I'll look for one that's been recently tabbed, empty, and I'll grab it.
Okay.
I'll look up and I'll be like, I mean, that looks like fun, Matt, but how about something with a little bit more? And I'll slam it on the ground, right side up, and say competition, and I'll put my elbow out and offer arm wrestling
Wow.
to anybody that
17 hobgoblins jump on you.
Seven,
ready.
like they dogpile and morph into one enormous hobgoblin that is so testosterone fueled. And keep in mind, it's made up half of women, but it's still so testosterone fueled.
right.
They
that
go get the whatever the hell that one thing's name is, Flump-a-lump.
it cannot wait to combat
I'll
you
step
in fucking arm wrestling. Go ahead.
I step up.
Steps up.
So it's gonna be like arm wrestling in Monster
Flexing.
Hunter.
All right. Is that okay? Then I just need to hear like rapid button presses from each of you, and whoever I think is pressing faster is gonna win.
I'll find a site where you can just strain real quick how many you can press.
That would be cray.
Do the typing test, both of you, right now.
No, absolutely not. If you would like to compete with one another and you would like to leave it to chance, both roll athletics. Oh, did you actually find one?
I would like to attempt to stun him as my hand holds his hand.
I don't
Does that
think
count
you
as a
can
hit?
do that without making an
Good.
attack. Like
Alright.
I don't think flexing my hand counts as an attack.
I don't know, he's a monk. Rules are different.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
if he's going to attempt that, then I'm going to
Here,
use
fine.
my blood maledict, and I'm going to blood curse the eyeless so he has triple hitting.
Not
You have to fucking bleed yourself to do that. No, I'm not gonna fucking agree to that.
You have to bleed yourself.
I don't think the monk can handshake stun people at level 7. We'll talk about it at higher levels.
Fine, I kick him in the shin.
Okay, that
Stun
counts.
him.
That absolutely counts. You gotta roll an attack to hit, though.
Okay.
He's a cheater. He's a dirty cheater.
Cheaters never prosper.
Yeah, that's a whiff, my friend.
and then no one sees anything. I was like stretching out my leg.
I don't know about all that. There's some boos from the crowd.
All right, let's go. Let's do this.
Boo! Look at him try and cheat, Bones yells.
There you go.
All right, let's go.
You go
Rile
first.
people up.
All right, on 3, athletics rolls. 1, 2, 3.
Clicked it. It's not going. I click it again. Yeah! Killed it.
Boom!
That seems about
Just-
right, actually.
Body.
Funny enough, you don't have much more athletics than me.
don't.
Actually, yeah.
Well, when I was putting my character together, I actually started putting some points. I wanted to get some dex so my armor could be as
Wait,
useful.
so what's
as
your
it could.
strength then? Is your strength
My
16?
strength right now is a 16,
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
so a +3.
So he has double the strength of Ezra.
Well, So, breaking out the barrel in the arm wrestling does get you a long line of worthy challengers. You probably win most, but you lose some, here or there.
I want to say one of the ones where I start losing, like I'm about to lose, I'll fucking transform and get advantage and be like,
Wow, double cheater.
help!
All that does is make the line grow.
Damn,
As-
why he's doing all this?
Roll for exhaustion.
That
Yeah,
arm
this
is gonna be
sword
a
counts.
real fucking sore tomorrow.
While he's doing all this, sorry.
Go ahead. You're fine.
I was gonna say, while he's doing all this, I want to I'll be talking to people. I want to talk up the Skull Takers and let people know what we're about
Okay.
and what they look like and what happens to people that fuck with my boys.
Okay.
And that
Gotcha,
you will
gotcha.
tell them that they have to follow the laws of.
Yeah, no,
Well,
obviously they're not above the. No one's above the law, all right.
Very nice.
But I'm just saying, don't enslave them. Just trying to take skulls.
For someone who's like, I'm really not into humanoid bones, you've taken some. How many humanoid heads have you carried around?
Yes, I'm a head taker, bro.
But he doesn't craft with them. There is a
That's right.
keen
Gotcha.
difference.
I take
don't
them
know.
as trophies.
I think Skulls make some pretty decent maces.
Yeah, probably, but probably not. Also,
Okay.
it's not. It's just not my Nindo.
Sure.
My ninja way.
Nintendo.
Odie boy. Okay. The rest of the feast plays out, as it does, and it's pretty late into the evening, quote unquote evening. It's very late into the 29th, right? When the feast begins to wind down, and when it ends hard. It ends it just super cut off. Suddenly Lurkana is yelling
Puking everywhere.
Well, the puking's already begun, but the difference between we're feasting to mere minutes later of the whole fucking hall is cleared, everything's back to normal, everyone's gone except for the people that are around doing their business, right? It's cray-cray. Lurkana basically turns it on, starts shouting and yelling. Everyone who is not drunk basically carries away the individuals that are drunk, and then it's just this batch of goblins comes in and quick cleans the whole place, and it's done. Whole fucking feast done in 5 minutes flat. Went from everything's going great to Lurkana's okay, we're done with this shit, get the fuck out, and then everything's gone. And when that happens, right, you're basically told that Azrak and Lurkana are turning in, right? They're retiring. And that you are welcome to use the chambers that have been provided to you. Or you can go freely where you want. Just as long as you're within the dominion of the Legion, you obey the Legion's laws.
I think it might be a good idea to just go ahead and long rest here, and then start making our way back up to Waterdeep in the morning.
I am very
Sounds fine.
spent, so if we do run into anything, it
Yeah, let's just rest.
could be problematic.
Okay. So you guys decide to long rest in the quarters here, which is great. That means you all will level to level 8. Congratulations on gaining level 8. You've had the experience for level 8 for like 2.5 sessions. You just needed the long rest. Oh,
Solid.
goodness.
Roll
Right?
a 3.
Oh, nice.
You know better.
Anybody else gonna roll HP?
Yeah, always.
Hey!
Hey,
baby.
very nice.
Still under 50.
So Jay, go ahead,
not
go
me.
ahead, go ahead and take your
You say
baseline
under
HP.
50? I'm at 50. Well, I'm at 52.
Jay,
So
go
I'm
ahead
doing
and go ahead and roll
okay.
what your HP would have been.
All right. I don't like this game.
I love it because
this
it
game.
works for us almost every time. Pretty good.
I don't care.
Pretty
Because
good.
the second I roll and actually intend to
sexual.
keep it,
I
I'm
think
gonna
every
be
single level that you have taken as ashes
hasn't
that
been.
we've done
it
this
has not been.
has been super positive.
Okay, so 8 for me is basically just ability score
Yes.
improvement.
So
Same.
well, let's hold that. I'm actually gonna go. We're gonna take to break real quick. We will be back here in a little bit, and you guys can go ahead and level up your character sheet. I'm gonna change the overlay. What do you say? Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Or rather, see you in a bit, everybody.